John Velleco is with us. He is the Director of Federal Affairs for gunowners.org. Gunowners.org, as the U.S. Constitution is read on the floor. I'm looking at your website right here, John, out of Springfield, Virginia. Welcome to the program.
Great to be here, Tom.
Thanks for joining us. John, Peter King, it was just announced, Peter King, the Republican congressman from New York, rather sometimes incendiary fellow himself, is going to introduce gun control legislation. It's going to be fairly limited. Apparently, he just doesn't want people to have guns around him, you know, if you're within 1,000 feet of a congressman. But this whole meme of, Arizona had the least restrictive gun laws. If this guy had a 10-round clip instead of a 30-round clip, he could have done only 1/3 as much damage. He was stopped when he tried to reload the clip. Those kind of things, don't these at the very least argue for a return to, at the very least, the assault weapon ban?
No. Well, first of all, he used a handgun, not a so-called assault weapon.
But the assault weapon ban limited the size of the clip that you can even put in a handgun.
Right, the new manufacturer. So you were always still able to get magazines of
made before '94, yeah, but
right. But restricting the size of the clip is not going to stop the criminal who's intent on killing a lot of people from getting their hands on a larger clip. You could make one. A person could make one themselves. And the approach of Congressman King is exactly the wrong approach because what he's doing would be to create another gun-free zone. In fact, it would make congressmen much more in danger of criminal attack because a criminal's not going to pay any attention to a 1,000-foot zone. It's only the law-abiding. And as we've seen in many multiple victim shootings, they happen in these so-called gun-free zones. So that's exactly the wrong approach. But
this congresswoman had a permit for a gun, and she was a gun owner.
Yes, she was.
We don't know at this point whether she had her gun in her purse, but some guy pulls out a Glock with a 30-round clip in it, 31-round clip in it, and most people are not going to have the time to find their gun, pull out their gun, undo the safety on their gun, aim, and it's just it didn't happen in this case. I'm guessing odds are fairly high given Arizona's laws that there was a gun owner somewhere around there. Why, if the only purpose of a semi-automatic weapon with a 31-shot clip is to kill people and to kill more than one person, why even have that available in our society?
Because we need it to be able to defend ourselves, because when an assassin or criminal like this young man in Arizona was, we needed to have the ability to defend ourselves. And there was a person armed at the scene. As far as we could tell, the nearest person was running out of a store, I think a Walgreens store, toward the scene of the crime, and he had his hand on his gun, he noted on a television interview, and the safety off, and he was ready to use it. Thankfully, the perpetrator was already subdued, and so he didn't have to, but he was ready to step in, and he might have been the closest person, unfortunately, to the scene of that crime with the firearm.
But the point is that the crime shouldn't have happened in the first place. When you look at countries where these kinds of guns are prohibited, you look across Europe, you look at Japan, where it's very, very difficult to find a gun. Yes, I'll give you, the Yakuza have guns in Japan, but gun crime is insignificant in those countries.
Right, and there are a lot of reasons for that. So is a lot of things in Japan are different. For instance, it's
they have more knife crimes.
They have a lot more knife crimes, a lot more murder-suicides, which they classify as suicides, and they're very strict about their immigration laws and so forth. There's a lot of things different in Japan, but we need to be able to protect ourselves for when a person like this snaps. Because
so wait a minute, you're saying I should walk around with a Glock with a 31-round clip in it to protect myself?
If, in this city, unfortunately, you can't. It would make sense if, we don't know where the criminal is going to attack. Okay, this person went through an FBI background check and was still able to get a gun. There's a big lack of personal...
The background check in Arizona is a joke.
No, it was an FBI background check.
I know, but the FBI background check is a joke. You have to have been a criminal. It does.
Right.
But
the alternative is, how do you stop a person before they snap if they don't have any record?
You don't make these things so widely and easily available.
So are you suggesting like a handgun ban, or?
I'm suggesting a ban, at the very least, a return to the assault weapon ban.
But this
and
gun
an
wasn't
aggressive,
covered by the assault weapons ban.
The clip was. And this guy couldn't have done anywhere near as much damage as he did if he had a 10-round clip rather than a 31-round clip.
We don't know the facts of the situation.
Well, we know more than 10 people were shot.
Yes.
So if he only had a 10-round clip, that would have limited.
He might have been able to, but he could have gotten, even if those clips were banned, he still could have gotten his hands on a clip. And I don't think the focus should be on the size of the magazine. The focus should be on the individual.
Well, no, I mean, I think that there's a philosophical issue here. Why, we don't allow people to walk around with Thompsons, fully automatic machine guns, or Uzis that can be in fully automatic mode. They have to be modified so they can't be. We don't allow people to walk around with surface-to-air missiles. We don't allow people to walk around with weapons that arguably isn't for defense. But that's to the argument that's sometimes made that we need to have guns so that we can stop the oppressive government if it ever becomes, Come on,
well. A couple of points.
Isn't there a rational limit to this?
There's a couple points there. One, if a person had a 10-round clip and shot 10 people, then the argument would be, well, if he had a 5-round clip, wouldn't it have been? He would have only been able to shoot 5 people.
Well, I'm fine with that. Let's go to 5 and 6. The old-fashioned six shooter.
Then we're down to single shots. And then the other point being that if you restrict the size of the clip, then only the criminals will have large clips at that point.
Oh, well, that's a variation on, if you make something criminal, then only criminals will have access to that. And it sounds nice, but the reality is that in societies where there's not easy access to these kind of weapons, you don't have these kind of crimes. And as that access increases, and look what's going on in Mexico right now, you're seeing all kinds of massive, incredible gun violence that's spreading all over the place. And Louisa just blanked out. There's some stats. This is from the Brady campaign. In 1 year, guns murdered 17 people in Finland, 35 in Australia, 39 in England and Wales, 60 in Spain, 194 in Germany, 200 in Canada, and in the U.S., 9,884.
But interestingly enough, in the U.S., we also kill more people with our hands and feet than those countries have murders with guns and weapons and without combined. So we have a problem in the United States. We have a violence problem, which is all the more reason to protect the rights of the law-abiding citizens to have the means to protect themselves.
If we have a violence problem, isn't that all the more reason to reduce access to a device that is its only function when used as directed is to kill another person?
But that's what you want to have when you're defending your life.
What about stopping another person? Why not instead have people be able to defend themselves with mace or stun guns or something?
Well, we have that too, but sometimes that's not enough. And when we're under a violent attack, we need to have that ability. So
where do you draw the lines? I'm assuming you are in favor of gun control. I'm assuming you don't want a 10-year-old to be able to walk into a store and say, "I'll take a Glock with a 31 round."
Right. Well, there are laws in place.
So you are in favor of gun control.
I'm not in favor of victimless crime gun control laws. I think we've gotten away from personal responsibility.
So you think a 10-year-old should be able to buy a gun?
No, not at this
So you do.
point.
You are in favor of gun control. It's just that you have specific parameters.
Yeah, and I'm in favor of criminal control. And I think it would be a great thing to free up untold amounts of police resources and man hours from treating law-abiding citizens as if they were criminals, which they have to do with
You realize
checks
virtually
and
to a
permits.
man, the police departments and police officers across the United States disagree with you.
No, I disagree with that statement because the rank-and-file police officers overwhelmingly support the individual right to own guns. It's the police chiefs associations and the political level of law enforcement that supports gun control.
Okay, we'll leave it at that as the last word. John Velleco, he is the Director of Federal Affairs at GunOwners.org. John, thanks a lot for coming in today.
Thank you, Tom.
For audio and video archives, go to ThomHartmann.com.